And then when I came back for Christmas, somehow we hooked up again and started dating. And then in 1989, we got married. And I remember on our honeymoon night, he let me know that he wanted a large family, enough for his own softball team.
You're supposed to talk about that beforehand, you know.
Right.
That was a shock to you. You want a big family?
I remember thinking, I don't know if I want that many, but so then it was like within the first year of marriage, I found out I was pregnant. And we were so excited about it. All our families and friends were all excited. And then I ended up, it was 4 months into my pregnancy, and I started having just terrible pain. So I went right to my doctor, and they told me that I had a bladder infection and gave me antibiotics and said I should start feeling better. Well, then it was like 10 hours later, he rushed me to the hospital, and I found out I had an ectopic pregnancy, and at the time, I didn't even know what that was. And they explained that that's when the baby it was stuck in the tubes, the fallopian tube, and my tube had burst, so I was bleeding internally, and they rushed me to into surgery, and I ended up losing that tube, and
the baby.
And that was very hard. And after that, my determination, I just
wanted to do it again.
Yep,
right.
Do it again.
So how long did you wait until you tried for the second baby?
He had us wait.
It was probably
3 months.
It was probably 3 or 4 months
Okay.
before she got the okay.
So you got pregnant really easily each time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
No problem. You're not like me. I couldn't get pregnant,
Yeah.
but you got pregnant, right? Which I don't know which is harder.
They did put her on fertility too,
Yeah, I was on
to try
fertility pills.
to where she could carry it.
Yeah.
And they had me on too many because I was like hallucinating. I was seeing snow in the middle of June. So they took me off of those. And then I got pregnant again and ended up having another tool. But this time they caught it early enough because of the history of having one already.
Yeah.
They were
Watching
so,
for that.
Yeah.
So you lost that baby.
Yeah.
And then there was, and I don't want to minimize it, but I want to get to the good part of the story. Then there was 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right?
Yeah.
10 miscarriages.
Mhm.
Was there ever one that you thought might be viable, that the longest that you carried the baby?
Yeah.
Right. The last one, I actually ended up having a miscarriage in our bathroom.
Mm-hmm. You saw the baby born.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was the hardest because
And then you
I
said,
actually physically seen the baby.
right.
So,
Right.
and it was right after that
Oh.
they discovered a mass, and they thought it was cancer. So I ended up having a total hysterectomy. And at that time, I was like, I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't imagine you having to go through that 3 or 4 times, much less 10 times.
Right.
What is your faith journey like, Lori, as you're going through all of this? Are you just trusting God to make something good come as a result of all this tragedy?
At the time, it seemed like, I think many of us do that, where I was kind of far away. But each time I got pregnant is when I found myself praying more and more.
Yeah.
God, please let this one be the one, and, let me have this baby, and I promise, my life will change. And then each time I was so upset. And so I went through feelings of anger and, just, I don't know.
Well, it's hard to trust God when you see this is just tragedy, one after the other.
Right.
So you're not trusting God, you're wanting to, but it's hard to. You're angry at God.
Mm-hmm.
You've had this hysterectomy, you're done with children. Tell us about the trip to church. You're still trying to seek God's will for your life. So you go to church, and what does this aunt tell you at church?
So we went to church, and afterwards my aunt came up to me, and she said, would you mind if I prayed with you? And I said, no. So she prayed over me, and then she said, I need to let you know while I was praying for you, God gave me a vision, and it was of you and Tim with a bunch of children. And at the time, I was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. And I left there feeling really, angry and hurt, and why would she say that?
Yeah.
And then it was only a couple months later we got the first phone call about, we ended up taking in our niece, and then our nephew, and we got the phone call. The only child that we adopted outside of foster care, a private adoption, was our daughter Faith. call out of the blue. I got a call at work, and it was from a girl by the name of Heather, and she said, I was given your name by some friends that said you guys wanted children, and I'm 7 months pregnant, and can I come and meet you guys? So she came and met us, and we ended up adopting Faith. And then after that, got into doing foster care, and
One after the
yep,
other.
I guess we're not good foster parents, because every child we got, we ended up keeping.
That's so funny. That means you were a great foster
Yes.
parent. So let me go to you, Tim, before we get into all the 10 children that you have now, which is just such a cool story. How are you feeling after each miscarriage? 10 biological babies that you've lost. Where's your faith journey in all this?
I was far from God. I knew there was something out there, and I always, told her she had to have faith, but I didn't know what to tell her to have faith in.
You didn't grow up in a Christian home. You didn't
No,
really know Jesus.
Far from it.
Yeah. So how did you really come to know Jesus and start trusting him?
We started going to church in a small town back in Wisconsin. Her uncle was a pastor. And I just kind of sat back it was probably a good year and a half, just watching all the men in church.
Really? What, men in church? Listen to that, men in church. They're listening to them. People are watching you.
Because you hear all the stories of the hypocrites. And
Yeah.
so I became friends with a lot of them, but I still didn't trust them. But they were men of God.
Yeah.
And they mentored me, and
So you gave your life to Christ?
I did.
I think the big thing that changed him too is he had heart surgery and died. And they ended up having to use the paddles to bring him back. And he said, because I didn't see the light, Lori. I seen just darkness. And
It was eerie.
That is eye-opening, right?
I mean, it was a very brief time,
But
so that,
it was eerie. And that was 11 years ago.
So once you did give your life to Christ, and Lori has been through all the things that she's going through, do you still have hope that there is something better for you out there? That there will maybe one day be this big family that Lori's aunt talked about?
Yeah. We knew if it wasn't going to be, we had our nieces and nephews. But God had different plans. He opened a lot of doors.
And I'm hoping that our viewers, because we have a treat for you in just a few minutes, viewers. We're going to bring part of the family up here. We don't have all 10 children here with us today, but we have some of the children here. And I want you to be able to see how important it is to keep your heart and your minds open. It may be a different culture. It may be a different ethnicity. It may be a special needs child. But this family was open to basically anything,
all the
right?
above. Yeah.
And
we got all the above.
And you did.
Yes.
You did. You have a great, what would we call it, collage,
Yes.
a tapestry of all kinds of different children. What made you open to that to begin with? A lot of people won't adopt because they're afraid of what they're going to get.
Right. I think for us, our heart was always, we just loved children. And when we started getting into foster care and seeing the cases that they send us like a profile of each child, and you read it and your heart just breaks. And if it was up to us, we would have took every one of them, but we didn't have enough room.
Right.
But I guess we didn't care.
How do you have the resources to do this too? I mean, I raised 2 daughters with my husband, and it cost a lot of money.
Right.
How do you do 10 foster adopted children? How does God provide that, I guess is what I'm asking you.
Well, we both worked full-time at the time, and being that we were getting into special needs adoption, one of us needed to be home, and that was one of the requirements. And so I stayed home, and they do supplement your income with each foster child.
But not enough to keep you going.
No, you don't get enough.
Right? It's
That is
not going to make you
correct.
rich.
No.
You just, you sacrifice,
Okay.
Yeah. We are really good at finding free things to do, going into places if we want to take them out to eat where children would eat free.
Right.
And so we knew all that, and I think that helped.
And God provides. Okay, so tell
He
me
does.
about your journey, and we're going to bring her up in a little bit, with Harmony, I would say she's the most profoundly disabled of your children.
She is.
Correct? What's her story?
Harmony, we got the call about her. She was 5 weeks old, and they knew something was wrong with her, but they weren't sure what at the time. And we picked her up, we called her our McDonald's drive-through baby, because we drove to a McDonald's, which was like an hour and a half away from our house, to pick her up, is where we met with another foster family that had her for 1 day.
They had her for 1 day and they were willing to get her up.
Yeah,
Wow.
they couldn't handle, she was
Wow.
born drug addicted as well.
Okay.
So she was going through withdrawals, and it was really hard.
What does it mean? What does it look like to go through withdrawal as a baby?
They're
Never
very,
sleeping.
you don't sleep,
Yeah.
no. And she had to be moving all the time, because she was real jittery and just really hard to calm down. And the only time she seemed to calm down is when we were rocking her.
Mm-hmm.
So we did this in shifts all night, every night,
24/7. For how long?
for 3 months straight. And
Just
every
the
night
two
I
of
went through,
Yeah.
yes,
You didn't have help?
no. Every night I went through a battle. I would be like, Lord, I can't do this anymore. I'm gonna have to make that phone call tomorrow. And then I'd wake up and I'd look at her and I'm like, okay, one more night. And I did this for like 3 months. One more night, one more night. And then when she finally got off the phenobarbital that they had her on to help with the withdrawals,
Seizures.
yes, she was like a different child. She
Wow.
actually was calm and, yeah.
Developmentally, though, she will never be.
No,
What we would
she's,
call normal.
right now, she's gonna be 5, and she's functioning at like a 1.5-year-old. She's nonverbal. We did find out that when we went to the LPA conference they had here in Orlando, we met with other children that have a lot of her same, that she has primordial dwarfism and Steckel syndrome. And we found out a lot of those children started talking at 9 and 10 years old.
So you have hope.
So she still might talk,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Is she your only disabled child?
Nope. Our twin, the other twin that's not here today, he was born, his frontal lobe of his brain never formed. And they said that was due to drugs given to him at a young age. And they said he would never read or write, and he's doing all of that.
That's wonderful. Praise God.
Yes.
Praise God. So there's only two special needs children that you have. Everybody else
Right.
is.
They all have special needs in certain ways.
Different ways.
Because of what they went through and the trauma
Yeah.
that they suffered, they all deal with different things. Like Monty, our youngest boy that's here, we got him when he was 4, and he'd already been in 21 different homes.
Wow.
So
A lot of
he deals with a
emotional
lot of,
challenges.
yeah, yeah.
How many are living in your home right now?
8.
Oh, so 2 are out of the house.
2 are out.
So you still have 8 children at home.
Correct.
And does anybody plan to go to college?
2 are in college.
2
right
are
now.
in college. Now, how are we doing this?
They're living at home and going to school.
Okay. You just, as I am, and did Lori and Tim Everson ever take them as they are? You see this beautiful family. Lori, I'm going to have you introduce this handsome young man first of all.
This over here is John L.
And he's how old?
He is 14.
Handsome boy. And then we
Then
have?
we have one of the twins. This is Jamia, and she's 15. And then we have Janaya over here, who is 13, sorry.
Okay, hard to keep up. That's all right.
And little Harmony here, who is going to be 5 in a few days. And this is Monty, and he is 12.
12? I thought you were, when you walked up here, I thought you were about 14 years old. You're tall, aren't you?
Yeah.
2 tall guys here, and you're going to be tall. I think they're all going to be tall. You
Her
girl them
twin
tall.
brother is 6'7" and has size 18 feet.
Oh my goodness, I didn't even know they made shoes that big.
It's hard to find.
So Harmony has a favorite. I was asking you as they were coming up here, who is Harmony's favorite?
This would be Mia. Her
Mia.
real name's Jamia, but we call her Mia.
And you call her Mama?
Mama Mia.
Mia, because
Yes.
that's who you like the best. Why is that? Why do you think she likes her the best? She just spends
I
more
don't
time
know.
with
I
her?
think Mia just has a mother's heart. She's very, I don't know, motherly towards her.
What would life be like without these the few, the half, this is the half of the brood, right?
Right.
What would life be like, Tim?
Oh, it'd be empty.
Yeah.
Boring.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I will say, when I met each one of them, they had firm, nice handshakes. They all looked me in the eye. They are wonderful, beautiful children, young people. And I just, my life is richer because of reading your book, because of meeting the 2 of you and seeing half of the brood here with us today. So thanks for being here with us today and for bringing everybody. And God continue to bless every one of you, okay? I know I told you couldn't say anything, but the one thing you can say is goodbye. bye-bye to everybody. Say bye-bye to everybody.